And explain to me a little bit about cholesterol and why people are so worried about cholesterol and low and high cholesterol, LDLs and HDLs and things like that.
Yeah, and that's a very touchy, subject because, traditional medicine, AMA, American College of Physicians, I mean, lowering cholesterol has been the major target for disease prevention from vascular problems, heart attacks, and strokes.
Yeah.
And, it all started with a physiologist in the late 1940s, early 50s, Ansel Keys, who basically did a study that looked at countries and societies that had a high fat, high cholesterol diet, and he wanted to show that, hey, there is a correlation. The more fat we eat, the more cholesterol we have in our diet, that is related to having heart attacks, strokes, and death.
Sure.
And, it actually, when you look at the studies that, he was involved with, and basically, he threw the outliers out.
Mm-hmm.
So any of the data that was initially presented was not good science. And yet cholesterol theory and heart disease blossomed, and basically it's the number one medication prescribed in the world, and that's with all of them, Lipitor, Zocor. They definitely work. They lower your number, and the doctors feel better, patients feel better. Hey, and that's the way I was trained. It's what I was taught, and that's the way I treated patients for the first 4 or 5 years. Statins do offer a benefit to patients, but it's more on an inflammatory vascular problem. So there's a blood test called C-reactive protein or cardiac C-reactive protein, and with patients that have an elevated C-reactive protein, that's a sign of vascular inflammation, and the statins lower that. And there is definitely a percentage of the population, 1 to 2%, that have that marker positive. So those patients I still would treat with the statin.
Okay.
But I think we overtreat the population for cholesterol when does not correlate with death.
Okay.
And they have thousands of studies, but again, that say yes, it does. And you look at the real science, and when you actually take a study and not read a headline, you're able to say, was this good science or not? And a lot of unfortunately, the studies in the journals today, and we're talking reputable, our most respected journals, New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association. These are supposedly the top, and yet I think when you read the studies and you actually get the entire study to see what's the sample size? Was it a powerful study? Did it have enough patients? Was it 50 patients or was it 10,000? It's not just that. It's also, there's many variables in, was this a good study to prove your point? And, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of bad information from, bad science.